Hey, Doug Greathouse here, host of the Entrepreneur Journey podcast. And before we get into another amazing interview with an incredible entrepreneur, I wanted to invite you to the Trailblazer Mastermind community. What that community is a community of amazing entrepreneurs, just like the ones that you've seen me interview on the podcast, the 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs. You'll get to learn from and engage with those entrepreneurs, and as well as many other entrepreneurs. We have a weekly networking event in there where you will meet the people that are seeking you and that you are seeking, meaning your next podcast guest, or if you want to be on a podcast, your clients, joint ventures, affiliates. We make those connections happen inside the Trailblazer Mastermind at the Entrepreneur Connect. We also have a monthly mastermind called the Trailblazer Mastermind. It's a feet to the fire style mastermind, meaning the goals that you have set for yourself and your business, you have a mastermind that is going to hold you accountable and help you hit those goals. You also learn what is working inside of other coaching businesses to help them grow. So that's not all. We also have the Sales Site All-in-One marketing platform, which you will get access to as a member of the Trailblazer Mastermind. It has everything that you need to grow your coaching business, from funnels, you can host your website there, social planner, email automation, SMS automation, sales pipeline, everything, literally everything you could possibly need to market and grow your coaching business is inside that platform. So you'll get access to that. There's also contests and giveaways. There's the expert training library, where we have experts. If you want to launch and grow your podcast, if you want to write a bestseller, those experts are going to be inside of the mastermind, and you can learn from them and grow. And in addition, last but certainly not least, there's the Raise Your Revenue course, the course by me and my team that we put together to help you hit your 5-figure consistent months in your business and then grow from there. So this is a roadmap to get you to that first 5-figure month, lay the proper foundation, and you can grow from there. So there's so much more. Go check it out. It's at mastermind.salesite.com, and I hope to see you on the other side. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur Journey. And I haven't been this excited to have someone on the podcast in a long time. It is my good friend, Jason Webb. Jason and I have some exciting news for you to share with you during this podcast. So make sure that you watch till the end, or if it's a recording, you can always fast forward. But Jason has an incredible story to tell us about his journey. He's going to drop some expertise on us around sales and faith and all kinds of good stuff. So let me just say this: Jason and I met. It's probably like 4 or 5 months ago, right? We'd been in a little bit of contact, but we just connected again recently, and I feel like he's a brother in Christ for one, and I love this guy. So anyway, let's dive right in. So Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been a salesman and an entrepreneur for most of my life. I'm in my 40s now. I've been doing this for the last 25, 30 years, even though as a kid, just buying some candy. So something been inherently in me when it comes to being an entrepreneur. God has given me my life in the last 10 years where I finally gave myself to Christ. It completely changed my life, my business trajectory, everything within my realm, my sphere of just everything. It's been amazing. But what I've been doing is I've been actually coaching. I've been coaching entrepreneurs and businesses for the last 4 years locally. Last 6 months, I finally decided, okay, let's bring this online. Let's see what's going to happen, and it's been tremendous. The growth, the people that I've got to be able to talk to, meeting people like you, and just growing our relationship. It's been amazing. But sales is my background. Like that's at the core of being a me. That's sales. That I'm a director of sales for a company, and I've grown that company from 0 to 20 million in our first year. And so I've just coaching people, sales, entrepreneurship. That's where my heart is. All beginning in a foundation of God.
That is amazing. That's why we're so good. We're such a match, because you and I we have a passion to helping entrepreneurs, and I knew that a little bit, like from the first time I met you, and then as we built our relationship recently, I was like, this is my kind of guy. So anyway, anyone that watches any of these knows I like to do a little bit of rapid fire questions before getting into like the meat of it, getting into your expertise and all that kind of stuff, because I want people to know who you are, just kind of like a fun, personal way, rather than just, hey, I'm the expert in da 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 da, right? So the first thing, since I know that again. You are a Christ follower and go to church. I want to know what your favorite praise song is.
Oh man, I have so many. There's way too many to count, but I'd have to say my favorite praise artist is Zach Williams. I love Fear is a Liar. I love Survivor. Everything. I actually just saw him at a concert here at the Caleb concert in Colorado 3 nights ago. So amazing guy. Amazing songs. It just speaks to me. But Fear is a Liar is one of my favorites.
I am right there with you. I have a story about that. So he was going to like he had announced a concert at a church local to us um, right before COVID started,
Mhm.
and then concert had to be canceled because of COVID. And then they did a makeup date, but it happened to fall on a very important date that my wife and I couldn't go to. So we ended up giving our tickets away to some friends of ours, but we really wanted to see Zach Williams, and they went and they said it was amazing. So
That
hopefully
is
we get the
that is
opportunity to do that again.
that is very cool. Yeah, actually, a couple years ago, I actually had dinner with Zach. Uh, we got to talk and
Nice.
discuss things. Really cool stuff. His birthday is actually 4 days after mine. We're born the same year,
Wow.
same month, everything crazy stuff. But I really like Zach though.
Nice, nice. Um, so my next question is, what is your dream adventure?
The dream adventure. I would have to say spending a year in an RV around the country with my wife and
Mm,
kids. Being an entrepreneur, I never take vacations. I never get to do that stuff. And just the reason why I wanted to grow this and start coaching so I could have the time freedom to be able to spend that and enjoy that with my family and kids and be able to work from anywhere.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing to be able to be somewhere else.
Mhm.
I thank God for the internet daily.
Yes,
Because
yes.
um, it allows us so much freedom, right? To do things. Uh, so I thought this was I came up with I've never asked anyone this question, and I thought it would be interesting to ask. So, what movie would you most like to have played a role in?
Oh man, I have a sports background. I played college
Okay.
football, and uh, you know, any given Sunday is always a good one, just because my
Mm-hmm.
sports background, I was a quarterback. Uh, but then I struggled because of the whole, secular side. There's no faith in
Yeah.
it. So then I thought of some other movies where I brought some faith in. I'd love to be in The Chosen, just a series, just to be one of
Yes.
learning about that. So
Yeah.
there's a couple, but I'm really diving into The Chosen series now, and I'd love to have been one of the disciples, just walking around learning about Jesus.
I can picture you. I can picture you there.
Yeah, the Thunder Brothers, right?
Yes. 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 Yep. 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 That's the one. That's the one. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So I've been doing a shameless plug a little bit in these questions, and it kind of relates to the next question I'm going to ask you. A friend of mine, Danica Trouble, and I are launching a book called Dear Younger Me, and it's going to be out probably, if not the end of this month, very soon in the next month. And it's all about uh, entrepreneurs and the stories that they would tell themselves when they were young. They write letters to their younger selves. So my question to you is, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what age would you be and what would you tell yourself?
I would have to say my high school years, because I thought I had everything figured out in high school, like we all do. Everything was great in the world. I would go back into high school because I didn't have God then. I had some faith, but I was living life. I thought I was in control of everything. So I'd go back to my younger self there, talk to myself about faith and how that journey is going to happen, and just tell myself to trust the process. Like there's gonna be some deep valleys, and understand that you're gonna make it through it. That there's gonna be some really lows and some really big highs, and just follow through with it with God, and just making sure that He's the center of your universe and your world, and that everything that you do is within that.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Thank that's really good. So this is another favorite segment of the interview for me. It's called the fill in the blank question, and I always get an answer I don't expect, which is why it's one of my favorite. Um,
Yeah,
so your fill in the blank question is: other than money, as an entrepreneur, the best thing to multiply is.
love. It
Mm,
doesn't matter if you know people or not. You know, we're Jesus followers, and He's all about love. So expanding that love to everybody. It's just that's multiplying the love, man.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
I'm a big guy, but I can be loving. Okay.
yeah. Now I have to say I almost expected that. Like if when I went through my head and I was thinking, what answers would I expect from Jason? That was on the list. Also, relationships, multiplying, but that those
Yes,
kind of tie together,
yes, they
multiplying
tie together.
relationships.
Yes,
Right?
yep, yeah.
So,
Yes, that's
um,
exactly what I was gonna. It was between those two. So yes,
awesome, awesome. Um, Now I know a little bit about your story, but not all of it, based on just kind of our talks and some of the stuff that I've read on your website and other places, and some of your posts that you've made. But now I really want to dive in and share that story with our listeners. As much as you want to share about that, like kind of whatever struggles you went through, your high points, low points, and whatever where you want to start point A at point B. Just tell that story for us.
perfect. How much time do we have, Doug?
They
Because it can
usually
take a
last
while.
45 minutes to an hour, so
Perfect. Well, so like I said, I started at the beginning of the conversation. Um, in my early part of my life, in my grade school, I was buying and selling candy at school. I was raised by a school teacher and a truck driver. We never really had a lot of stuff, but we had everything we needed, and they always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My mom had a tax business. My dad had some mechanic businesses on the side. So there was always ways they were trying to make extra money, and they taught me that as well. So that was in my early years. When I got to college, I started a few different businesses in college. I was playing football in college. But like one thing I did is I started in sales at a electronics store, and I was the only person in the entire country that was in the president's club as a part-time employee. So I started really thinking about, okay, in a sales aspect, why don't I just treat this like my own business? And so I started doing that through the rest of my sales career, even up to today. But in my early 20s, a buddy of mine, and buddy of mine and me, we started up a company that was called Lighter Promotions. We built some advertising signs. We created this whole product where we are going to put these advertising signs on the back of semi trailers. We actually went through like 30 to 40 different iterations of it. We had it patented. Um, we went on a grand scale. We made it to the United States Postal Service headquarters in Washington, D.C., the Department of Transportation out in Washington, D.C., and we actually presented to these people. We almost had a contract signed with the United States Postal Service. It would have made us a very, very wealthy company overnight. The CEO that we had hired that had a lot of experience, we thought, that we hired at the time, he put out a press release the day before it happened. We lost everything. Didn't happen. It was from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. We lost it all. And so we struggled to try to make things work, and we ran on funds. We just couldn't do it, so we lost it. And then after that, I started working for a title company, a mortgage company, in real estate. And so I started learning that business. I started really diving into that. That's where I met my daughter's mom. We we decided to move off of there again with my entrepreneurial background. I'm like, okay, well, I can do this business. We can figure this out. So we went off and we started our own title company, our own real estate company. And this was in early 2000s. Things were great. We were doing very, very well. Well, then of course the crash came in real estate in '08. We lost everything again. I lost at that point a relationship due to some addiction issues from her. I lost my business. I lost everything. I filed bankruptcy. I was a single dad at that point. Having my daughters full time. I ended up being a single dad for 9 years. So I've had some really good highs and some really low lows as an entrepreneur. But that's what builds us up and makes us who we are, right? That's why I talk about fear is a liar with my favorite song. Fear has played a part in everything, especially as we're entrepreneurs and starting businesses, right? Fear is a liar. And so that was in the 2000s. And when I became a single father, I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? How am I going to support my kids? So I started working at a tire company, commercial tire company. I think the largest tires in the world. A buddy worked there. He got me a job as delivering tires, knowing with my sales background, my trucking industry background, all that stuff, that there was going to be some other chances for me, some opportunities. So they moved me into a sales role. My third year in sales, again, I built this as my own company and my sales realm with my customers and everything else. My third year with the company, I was the top salesman in the company. There was 26 salesmen and I was number one. So I'm still in that same industry as my day job, but now I'm the director of sales for another company. Completely just built that up, and that's been in the last 15 years. And during that time, it's afforded me the opportunity to start up four other companies, one of them being a coaching business, and being able to help other entrepreneurs in this. So that's the 50,000-foot overview. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
no, no, no. I loved everything you had to say there, and I want to actually kind of go back to a couple
Yeah,
things. One of those things being the deal with the postal service, like to be right at the finish line, right? And I can almost feel it, have the empathy with you. You have the hopes and the aspirations all there bubbling at the very top, and then to all that all come crashing down almost in an instant, it would feel like probably,
Yes.
right?
It definitely was because we had valuations on the company at that point of as soon as that contract was signed, it was going to be on 300,000 vehicles, and the company would have been valued at $300 million. We had already had some other contracts in place to take that over so we could help with that. And it was definitely like it was a for sure thing. And for instantly him to put that out there and we see it, then we get the call saying, no, we're going to move on. We're gonna do something else. It was completely crushing because we had had
Well,
years and years into this.
yeah, well, let's just dive into mindsets there for a minute because that would have stopped anyone from ever trying to be an entrepreneur again, right? Because that to I'm sure there was so much that went into building that up and getting it to that point, and then to have it come crashing down. So many people would have thrown up their hands and say, "I got to the finish line, I wasn't able to cross. Now I'm just not going to do it," right? Um, but you having a different mindset. It might have not been immediate right after that because that would be hard for anybody, but the entrepreneur spirit remained, right?
Yes.
Um, and you went on and executed on that entrepreneur spirit still more because I think you like me, you know that entrepreneurism is the way to make more impact and help more
Yes.
people. So I think that's what ultimately like me probably drives you.
Yes. It's 100%. It's about serving people and doing God's work. Like especially as I found God later in life. Like I said, I had a failed marriage. I found God. I met my wife. Had a couple more kids, and that it changed the trajectory of my life. It really gave me understanding of what my purpose was and what I wanted to do and helping people. And so, yeah, that entrepreneurial spirit and helping people, man, that's what it's about. Like we talked about doubling or, the question you had on the rapid fire is love and relationships. God wants us to be in relationship with people. He wants his people to have relationships. That's the reason why he sent his son to sacrifice for us, it, to have a relationship with us. So it's all about that.
Um, Another question. This is not. I want to talk some more about kind of diving into the story and kind of going in that direction a little bit. Is
Mhm.
let's dive into the faith piece a little bit again. I don't know where your faith was when that big devastating moment happened, but how much easier is it when you have God and you go through the valleys as an entrepreneur than when you don't have God in the valleys, right?
Yes. Well, back then I knew I believed in God, but I didn't give my life to God. We didn't go to church.
Yeah.
We didn't really have any of that. So it was definitely a lot more devastating then. Like when I have peaks and valleys now, knowing that God's on my side, you're like, this valley isn't that big.
Yeah.
It's that hill, great, that's awesome. We're there, but still, you have a baseline with God, and it's so much better and just so much easier to understand things. You're coming at it from a different perspective that it's all His. It's not. It's not for my doing. It's where He wants me to be and where He wants us to go and the things that He wants us to do.
Yeah, those valleys are what shape us, right? They help. Like God sometimes puts us through those, so He's refining us, so that we can do His plan, right?
Yes. Yeah, I like people say that God only puts so much in front of us that He knows we can handle. I don't subscribe to that thought. I think He puts us in places that we have to rely on Him.
Exactly,
That He
exactly.
wants us to come to Him and hand it to Him, and He doesn't. He knows we can't take it. So I that's my train of thought.
Well, I agree with you on that. So now I feel like I know you much better, and I like you still the same. So more probably more now, but now I want to get into your expertise a little bit. And we're going to still talk about faith and business. And my first question is, how did your personal faith and belief system impact your decision to start the Profitable Salesman? And how has it influenced your approach to sales and business?
Perfect. So how it actually all started was with my men's ministry. I had a mentor in my men's ministry that I was talking to. He was a leadership coach. He went and did corporate leadership. He had a 53-foot trailer. He had an escape room that he would go all over the country to do these corporate leadership events. And so he started bringing me along just because of my sales background and seeing how I built relationships, how I talked to people, how I communicated to people, that teaching aspect. And so he goes, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" So I started going with him on some of this stuff. I started teaching sales. He got it to my attention saying, "Why aren't you coaching people with this stuff? Why aren't you coaching people with business?" And I said, I never really thought about it. Let's give this a go. So I took a chance, I took a leap, and I started it 4 years ago. Um, that's how that all started. It's been fantastic since then. There's been some really, really cool people that I've met, some really, really huge successes that I met. I have one group, 365 Christian men, where they produce 365 stories of Christian men. One they release one a day. We're hitting, over 100,000 listens a month on that one. We're getting into all around the world. We just launched into India and a few other places, but just being able to God has been the center of all this. He's putting me in front of all these people for reasons, but God has been center to all of this. It's launched everything. There's nothing that I could have done myself that would put me in the position I am without God. So I like even meeting you, like it's been a God journey. This is completely something outside of my scope of realm and what we have going as we build our relationship and our partnership as we're going to be speaking on, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
it's all centered around God.
yeah, it's like you emulate a lot of my journey. Like since I really let God take control,
Mhm.
is that He puts like unexpected out of anywhere, like puts the pieces in and you don't know how it's actually going to develop, but then it does, and you're like, thank you, wow, God,
Yeah,
I would have never thought of that.
the pieces just all seem to come together and fit.
Yep, yep. It's amazing. And praise God.
Yes. Yeah, with the profitable salesman though, as I started coaching people and teaching people my sales techniques, I'm not a hard sales guy. I teach relational sales. I teach um, first impressions and just being genuine and honest and ethical. It all comes from biblical principles in terms of how would Jesus do this in terms of how we talk to people, and that's the basis of everything we do is how do we serve people? How do we build relationships? Um, as we help our clients, even our customers, how are you serving them? You're serve, 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 serve. And I guarantee the more you serve, Zig Ziglar's old saying, to get what you want, give everybody else what they want, right? That's a biblical principle if you look at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's about helping others. So now I want to go back to this kind of relate to your story a little bit. And so how do you navigate the challenges of balancing work and family life while building your business? And with that, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs in that arena?
Get very good at scheduling. Live and die by your schedule. That's what I have to do. I also have a very blessed wife, that she's very reasonable. She's understanding and knowing what our goals are within life. But I still make sure that I'm scheduling time with my priorities because, as some things that I've researched, with just even some studies that we've done, we don't want our businesses to be our mistress. We want our wives and our families to still be number one. Our relationships we want to have key, especially within God. We have to make sure that that is number one when we schedule our time. We have our families number two, our business is number three. So everything has to be scheduled. I schedule my time for my lunch. I schedule my time for my dinner. I schedule my time that I have with my wife on a weekly basis. Everything is by schedule. You have to do that, especially as an entrepreneur, because you can get so tied up. The enemy will get you distracted so easily because you're like, okay, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. Well, guess what? That'll still be there tomorrow. What is the priority? What's going to be here today? We want to hold our treasures with our relationships. Um, the relationships will go with us long after we're gone. The treasures that we have in life, the businesses and everything else, they don't mean much when it comes to the relationships. So,
Right. What I liked about what you said there is scheduling it in because often entrepreneurs they schedule all the pieces of their business and they never schedule their family. Like, they just think it's just going to happen, right?
yes,
You
yeah,
have to be intentional and make
yes.
it a priority. So scheduling it in is how that happens. And um, because that we talk about relationships, you kind of said it there: your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, then other relationships, right? Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think that's awesome.
Especially
Now,
with our spouses.
yes. Um, my next question is: what are the most significant lessons you learned about effective sales techniques and relationship building, and how did you integrate those principles into what you teach with the profitable salesman?
It's just about being genuine. Like I just briefly talked about how I kind of lead my sales approach or my sales coaching is it's about building that relationship up. As we're staying in the Word and we're learning about Jesus and God and having our relationship with God. Um, how can we emulate Jesus? We want to be like Jesus. How can we emulate that within business and within sales? And so, loving on people, like we talked about, building those relationships, first impressions, and being somebody that you would want to talk to. It's not about doing off a sales script. It's not about that. When I teach sales scripts and things like that, but it's not genuine. Be yourself. Learn the sales script. Learn what you want to talk about, but do it in your own way. One thing that I love doing with my sales guys or my sales clients is let's find some people that you relate to in terms of how you like sales. Let's learn really how they talk, their mannerisms, their body language, the way that they speak, learning the language of whatever their product is, their avatar is, and really diving in on that. That's one. Learning the avatar. That's a big thing. Learning who their customer is and really fitting into their world, making sure that they're comfortable. Like when you're talking to people, when you first introduce yourself to people or your product, get to know them. Ask questions. One of the best skills of a salesman that you have is your ears, not your mouth. You want to sit and listen, listen, listen. Serve the customer, making sure that you're solving a problem for them, that you're listening to where they're at. Because if you just come and say, look, this product or this service solves this problem, well, guess what? They've already got that solved on their side. You're not going to sell anything. You got to listen first. You know, it just it's all biblically based. I keep coming back to that. It's being genuine.
Yeah, yeah. It, you're a master at sales. I feel like I'm pretty good at sales. And but I follow a lot of what you say when I do sales. It's better to be a good listener than to talk all the time because you're going to miss things if you're not listening.
Mhm.
And being able
And
to pivot. So,
one thing about that as well is as you're first building a relationship with somebody, if you're talking to people and trying to understand them and learn them, one of the key techniques in building that rapport and that trust is letting people talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. They like to tell their story. It makes them feel comfortable. Listen, learn, and then also with your body language, even through Zoom or if you're in person, mimic their body language. If they tilt their head, kind of tilt their head. If you're talking to an owner of a company, kind of get a little bit lower than them. Like these certain subtle techniques, just make people feel comfortable, and it makes them open up. And like me telling my story at the beginning of this, being vulnerable within yourself, that
mm,
opens the door with trust as well.
yeah, yeah. They want to know you're a human being.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and that's very important. In this age of AI.
Yeah. Yes.
So now I usually put this question at the top of the expert questions, but I decided to drop it here because there's going to be an announcement in your answer. Um, so the question is, what is the secret to building a profitable business?
Ooh, there's a lot. If I had one secret answer, I would tell you, but I do have a secret solution that we're going to be announcing within me and you. It's my profitable sales business and your sales site entrepreneur journey. We're partnering up together, and we're going to be building the profitable business. So we're going to be helping coaches, course creators, and entrepreneurs with a full done-for-you system to launch their business. Within a 6-week program, I know you can explain within more Renee
Yeah.
and her, God's number one, what you got above your head there behind you.
Yes. So there's a roadmap detailing every step that is
Yes.
in this program, and it's going to be available for you to download at a link, whether it's the show notes below, or if you're watching this live right now, if you comment roadmap, we will get that over to you. But
Yes.
um, we, Jason and I thought he's really good at sales. He's also pretty good at marketing. I'm pretty good at sales. I'm really good at marketing. And Maria Renee, Making God Number One, she wrote the book Making God Number One in Your Business. We are all Christ followers, and we all believe that is the initial foundation that you have to establish as a Christian entrepreneur in your business before moving forward. So that piece is part of it. We do some mindset, we do some marketing, we do some sales, and also after a little bit of scaling help as well. So we this is literally that's why it's called the profitable business. It's not called the profitable marketing. It's not called the profitable sales. It's not called it is getting your business from point A like to point B. It's the full suite of everything that you need, and that link to if you were interested in having a conversation about that program, that link will be below to book that call. Um, any question or not any questions, but anything else
Yeah.
from you,
No,
Jason, about filling in on any of that?
yeah, no, just talking about that program that, the reason why we've meshed with us because we have that foundation of Christ and we want to help so many people, especially Christian business owners. We want to help Christian business owners launch and grow because we know as course creators, coaches, entrepreneurs, a lot of people know their business, they know their product, they know what they want to teach. They don't know the backside of it. They don't know the funnels, the marketing side of it, the lead generation, the courses, actually how we're going to structure them, the memberships. And so what we're coming together to do is basically build all that for you in a 6-week program with 3 phases on that. A mindset mastery, marketing elevation roadmap, and a sales surge system that we can really just just propel you as a rocket. We want to get you in a time capsule of your business to start from here to there in a 6-week program and get you launched like like you it would take you a year or 2 years to really learn all this stuff, but we want to make sure that we're putting you on a rocket ship for your business.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure to address multiple problems. Like a lot,
Mhm.
you may have a problem with lead generation, right? If your lead generation is ineffective or not there at all, we have the solution to that within the program and it's part of the done for you system. We give you the strategy, we give you all the tools, we give you all the assets that you need to go and have amazing lead generation. And then on the sales side, Jason's going to show you exactly how to close those leads once they start coming in. Um, it, and then of course you have the mindset stuff at the beginning, which after God, we really think if you don't have the proper mindset, none of this other stuff matters either, because it, we want you to not only get leads and sales, we want you to be able to be an entrepreneur that continues to move forward. And that mindset piece is part of that. So
And so when you talk about the secret sauce, all of these different things that I've learned throughout my life, that you've learned throughout your entrepreneur life, the more Renee, like we're compiling all those secret sauces all into this program.
yeah, yeah. And and just to go back to how this all came about, it's all God led, right? I met Marie Renee when I was first starting my entrepreneur journey group. She was one of the first people to come in there, and we had built a relationship. And she had told me about her book. I got her book. I read her book, and I was like, more people need to know about this. Need to read this book. And
Yes, yes, yes.
all through our relationship in the back of my mind is like I want to help Maureen get this book in the hands of more entrepreneurs. So that has God has put that on my brain to help that solution, right? And here it is, culminating with Jason coming in with with the sales piece and um, all the other pieces that he that he brings to this, and it's just a beautiful package to me. And I feel like it's all God brought all three of us together to make this impact on entrepreneurs.
Completely agree. Completely agree. When it comes to this system and being able to help people, we want to walk alongside, the course creators, and entrepreneurs in helping them grow their business because we want to impact much more than we can. We want to impact the kingdom. We want to grow the kingdom through business, and we want to help other people expand that. Like that's our ministry as we grow this. Is the business side of it.
Yeah, and why we're focusing more on the Christian entrepreneur side of this is because we know that it's not just about the money for Christian entrepreneurs. Yes, we're going to help you make money, but it's
Mhm.
about making the impact on your communities, on your family. That's really what is at the heart of what we're doing is so that you can have a business that grows your ministry, basically, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings is money makes the mission possible. It's not about the love of money.
yeah,
It's not that we want to, we don't want to dissociate with money because we have to have that. And God never had anything bad about money. It was the love of money. And so we want to make sure that we're positioning people to have the means that are possible to grow their ministries, whether it's their family, business, locally, in a world vision, whatever their ministry is, or whatever their heart is to lead that with God or to take that with whatever God wants them to do. We want to help them to have that be able to do that.
yes. Um, So once again, that link to book a call, if any of that sounds interesting to you, if you just want to explore it, we're not. It's not gonna. Jason's not gonna say get you high pressure if you're on the phone with him. He's not gonna. He's just gonna explain how what all the goodness that's packed in it, right? And if you want that, great. Because we're here to help you. So that link will be below. If you want the outline of exactly what how the program is laid out, that's the roadmap, and you can get that in the links below. And again, if you're live, comment roadmap, and we'll get that over to you so you can have more of a visual representation of exactly the program. Um, I, I
Yeah.
don't know if I've ever been excited about an endeavor in my entrepreneur journey as I am about this.
You and me both. I'm just, as we started to grow this, I kept thinking, okay, what's next, God? What's next? What's next? And this, I would have never thought that we would have this opportunity to help as many people as we want to help. Just in the terms of the system, in terms of how we can scale this and automate this to help people take them from one point to another point to grow this. It's amazing, and I appreciate you jumping on this journey with me, Doug.
Yeah. Last thing I want to bring up about the program is a lot of course creators, entrepreneurs, and coaches out there are out there duct taping things together. They get a little
Yeah,
piece of this mindset thing over here. They get this little strategy about lead generation. Maybe it's something about Instagram or LinkedIn, and then they get this little piece about sales over here, and they try to push it all together and duct tape it. That's not the best solution
no, no,
because there's not congruency between the things that you're doing. And this
mhm,
this is point A to point B. This is everything in one consistent and an awesome package. So anyway, it keeps you going. My whole saying is keep moving forward. This helps you keep moving forward without saying, "Oh, I got to go get the duct tape first."
exactly, exactly.
So,
Yeah, as entrepreneurs, we try to duct tape everything as we're learning this, and that's why we want to help move that duct tape from what we can bring into there to something solidified. That we have a clear roadmap to success. Like we said, if in the comments or so below, put on there if you want a copy of that roadmap so you can kind of see how this program works and make sure it fits for you. Because I think within no matter where you're at in your journey, this will help you.
yeah, yeah. That's an important piece too. Like I know some of you that are watching this may be saying, "Well, I'm great at sales. I'm good at sales, or I'm good at marketing, or um, I'm good at marketing and sales." But maybe one of those pieces isn't where it should be, right? So coming into this program, we will help you optimize whatever that area that you're struggling in, right? And you may be surprised. You may think that you're the best salesman in the world, but when you get on through Jason's training, you're gonna be like, oh, there's just some things I could have learned. I could learn, right? So, um,
Well, even me myself, Doug, I try to. I don't know everything by any which way imagine. I try to learn something new every single day when it comes to even sales, business. Um, it's just the God's ultimate knowledge, and so if we keep diving into Him, things are going to be opened up in our minds and our eyes, and that's something I pray for every day is for God to reveal something to me.
yes. Well, this has been awesome. This has been different than most of my entrepreneur journey interviews because we're now business partners, and we
Yes,
wanted to share this offer. Usually I have someone else coming on and sharing an offer that's just them, but I love the fact that we're doing this and we're doing this together, and we're going to help so many people. Um, what the way I like to close these shows is for the entrepreneur. I'm still going to do this part. So for the entrepreneur that's on the show to give any parting words of wisdom to anybody that's listening.
of course. Don't let fear hold you back. As we started this whole conversation about the favorite worship song, "Fear is a liar." Don't let fear hold you back in your entrepreneurial journey. If it's something that you're passionate about, that you feel that God is leading you to do, go after it. Have that passion for that. Um, we would love to be a part of that journey with you, to kind of guide you within your business and show you the ropes and building that out for you. But don't let fear overtake you. Believe in yourself, believe in God, because if God's part of your journey, you can't fail. There's going to be struggles here and there, but you will succeed within God.
That's right. That's that's the greatest thing that you can have. And
Yes.
I never like even during the struggles, I have joy because I know that in my heart. So thank you for sharing that. I think that is very wise words to share. So until next time, entrepreneurs, keep moving forward.